Hey guys, Crystal Thompson here for Unity Stamp Company. Today I'm going to show you how to use the newest Peony Layering Stencil released June 1st. This is an amazing full-size stencil with lots of layers and an easy way to create this card, so stay tuned on how to use it. As you can see, I have this gorgeous coloring of the peony. I didn't even have to pull out any copies. This is all ink blended, and then a very simple happy birthday stamp, and it's very easily achieved with very simple supplies and the Peony Layering Stencil from Unity. So to begin, we're going to use the birthday blooms. We have scattered straw and then my ink blender, and I have a sheet that is 4¼ by 6 inches. So we're kind of doing a semi slimline card, and we're going to start at the center of this cardstock and then blending out. I want to leave a bit of white space on the edges, so not quite a rectangle in regards to the blending, but enough that it's going to create a nice little oval, or maybe between an oval and a rectangle in regards to the blending. And so I'm going to blend, make sure that there's no spots. As you can see, I'm getting rid of those little spots here and there. And then once we're done, we're going to place this onto the Misty. So I have this ready to go. I'm going to place it on the upper right corner, and I'm using my full size. This is in the 12 by 12 or the little one, just because I didn't think this would fit in the mini. And I'm going to grab the Happy Birthday from the Birthday Bloom Stamp Set. This stamp set is a matching Peony stamp set for the layering stencil. And I'm going to place it down, making sure that it's going to be nice and straight, because I feel like that's the hardest part of the whole thing. And then I'm going to bring in a nice shade of dark purple, and I'm going to place it down and then stamp that lid down onto the ink blended yellow, and I'm pressing down for just a couple minutes. And it's a nice clean image, but I want to be sure that it's going to stick out, especially when you're stamping, or when I'm stamping over distress oxide that kind of reacts with water. I want to be sure that it's going to have a couple layers of this ink. And so I'm doing 2 layers. I'm going to bring it up and check out how clean and crisp this stamp set turned out. We're moving on to bringing on the Peony stamp set. So this is the Birthday Blooms. Again, it's quite large. We're going to use that Royal Treatment stamp pad. Again, it's the same color that we used for the Happy Birthday just a couple of seconds ago. And I liked using the Misty just because I know when I'm using a large stamp such as this, I end up missing a couple spots. So if you have a stamping platform such as a Misty, feel free to use that. So I have a very fine detail, so I ended up stamping it twice, just like that sentiment, and I'm going to pull it off, and we are ready to do some ink blending. So I have attached my card panel, my card base, to my desk just so I can be sure that it's not going to move. And then the hardest part is actually figuring out the stencil. So you're going to have 3 stencils to this peony, and I found that if I matched the leaves, that was the best way to know where we're going to go. So the first one is going to be the thinnest lined peony. And the thinnest line peony is not going to cover your leaves. It's going to be just the flowers. So I'm going to use a light shade of purple. And I try to match the lines of the larger peony, and that was the easiest way that I found to be sure that I was going to get the whole thing. And then I'm going to lift up. And one of the biggest techniques here is that you kind of dab the color and not blend, because that first layer of the Peony stencil is really thin, and it kind of moved on me. Next, I'm going to use the second one, so it's the one right above that super thin one. And as you can see, I was sure to be able to cover those areas that I missed with my stencil from the lines above. And this is just going to be a medium shade of purple. And I'm going to lift that up and see how it starts layering. So not every petal is going to get a layer. And then last but not least, I'm going to do, and this one seems to be a bit larger in regards to the lines of the stencil. And we're going to line up the upper parts of the petals to the upper parts of the petals from the stencil. And then again, bring in the darkest color of purple here. And I ended up using one brush for my entire thing. And again, making sure I didn't tape it down. So I had to lift it up and make sure that I had positioned it correctly. I'm going to hold it down with my hand. And then I'm going to begin dabbing and blending those upper right corners and finishing out the coloring. So again, this is real time. I didn't want to fast forward any of it because I wanted to show you how easy it was to color this peony, and it created a ton of layers. So we're at 5 minutes in. It's taking us about 2 minutes to color, and we couldn't achieve that with color pencils or watercolor or Nuvos, right? Okay, so the stencil also has the leaves. So we're gonna start again like what we did earlier, starting with the top layer of the leaves. And the stencil on this one is kind of skewed. So we're gonna use the upper right corner of the stencil, and I'm gonna match. The way I found this one was to match the little leaves. You see those three inner leaves? That's how I knew that I had my stencil placed properly. And I'm going to use this Mint to Be, which is just a minty green. I know I'm not going to go with the traditional peony colors, so we're going to have a minty green leaves, and this is going to be the lightest. And so the leaves end up only having 2 layers, and so we're going to do 1 layer of ink, and then we're going to end up doing a layer of paste just to give it a little bit of glitter. So I'm going to lift up and expose it. As you can see, not every leaf got color. We're going to bring in that second layer, and this is going to be the inner part of the leaf, and you can do 2 things. You can do the darkest color here, or like I mentioned, I'm going to do some paste. So the way, again, I matched it is the 3 inner leaves, so you can see, and this is just like the center part, the base shade of these leaves. I'm going to grab Hot Tub, which is just a bit of a darker minty color. And so what I am going to do, I'm going to add a second layer of this Hot Tub to the base using the stencil. And then leaving the stencil, I'm going to bring in some Nuvo Drop a gel paste that is actually included in the May Wit kit. So go grab that. It's a perfect color combination. But let me show you. I wanted to lift it up so you could see what it looked like. I'm going to place that down again. And for this one, I am going to tape it up just because I'm going to use the paste, and I want to be sure that I don't end up moving my stencil and ruining the whole thing. I have some purple tape to hold down the whole thing, and we're going to come back to use that Nuvo gel paste that we used earlier. So if you get the Wit kits, this was included in the May kit, and I think it's still available, so go grab it. I love the Wit kits because it does include full-size supplies. So for this one, I'm going to try to be careful not to make it super thick because I don't want to lose where I added that first layer of light teal, but just enough to give it a bit of a glittery edge. So I'm going to lift up and wash my stencil super quickly, but look at this. It turned out super pretty. We're going to let this dry for a couple minutes, and then I'm going to come back and fussy cut the entire thing. So I'm going to bring in my Tim Holtz scissors. Again, make sure that it's completely dry, and then I'm going to fussy cut all around. It took me about, I don't know, a good minute and a half to cut the entire thing and follow the lines, but it was a super easy way to create these flowers. And if you were going to mass produce some cards, like birthday cards, I feel like this last week I didn't have enough birthday cards for, for the different occasions. I'm going to mass produce a bunch of these peony cards, and the background was super easy with that blended yellow. Okay, so once that's done, I added a one-sided foam adhesive. I'm going to remove that backer, and instead of using strips, I wanted to use a nice big thick piece because it is so pretty, and I wanted it to be lifted up evenly and not have some random spots. So I'm going to place it right on the center. I'm going to skew it just enough so I don't cover the happy birthday part, and I'm going to press down. Again, be sure that your leaves are completely dry, and then I'm going to bring in a couple embellishments. So I'm using some gold jewels. So on one side it looks like a diamond, on the other side we got just a gold, and I'm going to use my mono liquid adhesive. It's just clear glue that dries clear, and I'm adding my little drops. By leaving them a couple seconds, it really allows them to get nice and tacky, and then for the jewels to stay on. So I'm going to begin by grabbing them and just pressing them down with my finger, alternating some of the diamonds and then flipping them over to use some of the gold, and the whole thing turned out really elegant. I felt like this was such a pretty card, perfect for friends or mother-in-law or whatever, right? But I'm loving this peony. Once I've added all that, I grabbed some of my Starry Night color watercolors. That is just gold, a variance of gold watercolors, and then flicking up with gold, cleaning that up, and then flicking up with white watercolor. And then I grabbed some more of that white watercolor and just adding little dabs, kind of to make them a bit more of a leaf, a little more shape to that inner part where we added the paste, and just again giving it some more dimension, but this isn't something that is necessary. And finished up with a couple purple Nuvo drops just to kind of entice the whole thing, finish it up. And guys, that does it for me. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial on how to use the Unity Stamp Company Layering Peony Stencil. Go grab it. This is going to be a sellout in the stamp set. If you get it as well, allows you to, color it if that's what you wanted to do. But I feel like layering, ink blending is the easiest way to go about it. So guys, we'll see you later. All products are linked down below. Go grab your stencil and stamp set on the Unity Stamp Company store. We'll see you guys later. Have an amazing day.